What is crack-a-lackin'? Welcome to my small, very small kitchen table. As I enjoy my fresh cup of Nespresso coffee here in my bougie home. Gosh, you think I'm a smoker. I just want to do a real quick video just to go over how we do out-of-state scouting. So jumping right in, I got Onyx pulled up here. This is a spot, it's in Ohio. I kind of want to go hunt it at some point, so I've kind of already dropped some pins, but these pins, these blue pins I have dropped in like potential spots that I want to go check out. I always label all my pins blue for spots that I want to check out, and then back to red once I've already looked at them and have verified that they are indeed what I think they are versus what they aren't. And then what you'll see here is I have these red lines, these red dotted lines, and those represent deer trails. And I've actually found these deer trails on Google Earth. You can just download Google Earth Pro. I always use Google Earth in conjunction with Onyx because Onyx will only give you, it'll only give you summertime imagery, and Google Earth will let you toggle back and you can get the great looking fall imagery, which is what I use to find deer trails. So while you can obviously look at this piece and you can just go in and be like, oh yeah, I think there's a pinch point here or here or here, you know, wherever the timber kind of narrows down. It's not really like that productive of a way of going about it. There's tons of stuff you can look for on aerials, but one of the first things that I do, especially with an area like this that's got a lot of grass or marsh, is I'll click on a pin. You can just drop any pin that you want, and then you can go over here to coordinates and click copy, and you can paste this anywhere. You can paste this in Apple Maps, Google Maps if you're trying to navigate to a certain pin that you've dropped. I'm pasting it here in Google Earth Pro, so I can go look at it on Google Earth and it'll automatically just drop me right in there. Boom. Now if you go up here, you've got the little clock button, and this will let you go toggle between different imagery. Some of it goes back quite a few years. Wow, that's a super bright one, kind of an old image, but it is fall imagery, maybe winter imagery, and you can see a lot of stuff with this. So right away, one thing you can see is you can see all the wet spots. And that's super helpful because with summertime imagery, you can't really always see where the wet areas are. And from my experiences, wet standing water equates to good pinch point areas. So if you go and you find out where those are, you can go back to Onyx and you can make sure that those stand out. And if they don't, you can go and draw a shape around them or something so you know that they're there. The other nice thing that Google Earth lets you do when you're looking at this fall or winter imagery is you can see what the cover type is. So right here, you know, we're looking at real open timber, and then obviously this stuff here looks really thick. Tons of bushes, it's more darker and shaded, so it's just a higher stem count area. And that's so easy to tell with Google Earth, and you can't really see like any of that stuff on Onyx. So I'll show you how I was finding these deer trails. So I'm just gonna go over here. So this spot right here, I found a lot of deer trails that look like deer trails coming off this little pond area. And I've got them marked right here. So we're gonna go over to Google Earth and look at it. So this is all high, tall grass. And any of these little trails or spots coming off that are connecting between two woodlots or that are coming out of the woodlot, like right here, that's a lot of trailage coming out of there. And sometimes they're people trails, it could be, but a lot of times there's so many of these. If you see an area with a high concentration of these lines going through this grass, you can almost guarantee that they're deer trails. And so when I find these, then I just go ahead and mark them on Onyx. And a lot of times, once you get enough of them on Onyx, you can kind of start to see a pattern. Like here, I'm noticing there's a lot of trails coming out of this pond area. And so I dropped a bedding pin in blue over this pond area so I can check it out and see if there's deer that are holed up in there. So I'm looking for spots. I don't just look at, you know, inside corners, real obvious stuff. I put a lot of weight on thick, high stem count areas, areas with marsh grass, high CRP stuff. I really focus on that. I always go check those spots out first, because if I can find where the highest concentration of deer sign is, that's probably where they're bedding. And if I can figure that out, I can hunt the outskirts of it in some way that makes sense. A lot of times, real obvious spots like inside corners, spots where hardwoods narrows down, where you have a quote-unquote pinch point. They're not really pinch points because there's not cover there that supports deer following it and travel. A lot of times hardwoods are open, and so what looks like it would funnel deer traffic down doesn't at all. And sometimes the reverse can be true, where the open areas that look open actually are the ones with concentrated deer traffic, because they have higher grass and the deer prefer being in them over the hardwoods. Here's a spot that I marked. It's right next to a house, and it looks like there's some thicker stuff in the area, some grass. There's a creek running through there. A couple fields meet up, and then right beside it you've got a couple marshes. So just a lot of stuff meeting up together right here. So I dropped a couple pins there to go check out, but honestly, I don't know if they'll be any good until I actually go there. And sometimes even driving the roads next to these spots can give you a really fast determiner of, yeah, this spot's sweet, or nah, like keep going. Here's a little section of grass. You can see all the trails coming through it. A lot of times you'll see them converge at a particular tree or clustered trees where the deer are bedding. Obviously, if you got a hilly area, you can look for saddles and benches and topography points. You can look for spots where cuts come up, all that stuff. That's more pinch point related, and I'll have a different video going over that. The only other thing I can say if I'm going out of state that I look for is just a good county that's got good Pope and Young records. And I look for areas that are away from heavy human population, and I also pay attention to Amish population. So that might sound kind of dumb, but I've been in some areas where there's a high amount of Amish communities, and the hunting sucks, and they've overhunted a lot of the public land. So I just try to avoid a lot of those areas. And then obviously the more ag that's in the area, the better. That means they can hold more deer. You can get way too into the whole e-scouting thing, and I find myself guilty of this too, where I'm just on Onyx late at night, just like dropping pins all over the place. And well, a lot of that is, you can have good intentions. You really can only do so much with e-scouting, and then you just gotta go get boots on the ground, and that will always trump whatever you find e-scouting. You always got to go off the deer sign, follow that, and then figure out where good setups would be. I'll probably be doing a little bit more boots on the ground scouting. I might even go scout this spot, just show you kind of what I found. But that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.